Hello and good morning. I guess it is still here in Arizona. Welcome back. This is episode 6 of Tech Talk with T&E. We missed last week. We were actually traveling to Nashville for a conference, which was incredible. But yep, we're glad to be back. And today we will be having Randy Rohde on with us. He's running a little bit late. He's just finishing up another podcast that they do. Anyways, how are you, Elizabeth?
I'm good. Happy Monday.
So, yep, happy Monday. Let me make sure that we're going live here real quick. Okay, we are live there. Sorry, I'm still new to this StreamYard stuff. Okay, good. Looks like we're good. So, all right, excellent. Hello, JP. How are you? Good to see you.
Oh, hey, JP. It's been a minute.
And then we have Mr. Skyler. He's with us. You know, he's like our roadie that follows us around everywhere. So, anyways, how did last week go? How did you like the little mastermind we were at in outside Nashville?
Okay, so I totally freaking loved it. It was awesome. There was a couple really great things about it. First of all, it's not just the same old thing. So there's people in our industry that are looking at things from a different direction, doing things differently, but also getting some really great, amazing results. So shout out to the Forge Mastermind. It was very small, which I thought was great because those connections, like we've been to a couple of those Forge Masterminds, and so you get to know people, and then after about, the third or fourth time of connecting in person, you really strengthen the foundation of your relationship. And so we had some really great conversations, learned some stuff. Can't tell you all the secrets because you had to be there, which pretty standard. But I'm excited. There's some great things that came out of it. Some definite unexpected sides that, like, a piece of the puzzle that I feel like I've been missing for a long time with one of the presenters. Just kind of nailed it in for me. So I know that's super vague. I get it. I'm sorry.
Well, I think it's, Elizabeth and I, beginning of this year, we're on a kind of a different track than we have been the past few years. So we're really on an agency growth track this year. So we're really focused on that. And I'm speaking at about half the events that I did last year on purpose, just so we can have more of that growth, more of that strengthening, and just kind of get ready for the next level. And it's something that we're excited about. And the mastermind we went to last week had a lot of that stuff, for agency growth, for setting up certain parts of your agency, and the stuff that, kind of excited us. So it's just a good fit. So thank you for the OMG guys for having us again. It was really super fun. So, there we go.
Yay.
And we have Randy.
Hey, guys.
Randy. Welcome. So we just been chatting about our little, get together last week. It's pretty cool. It's a different group of people. It's, it's definitely more on the agency strengthening and growth side than it is SEO, which is pretty cool for us. So, anyway, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How you guys are good? You guys look good. I love the new digs. The new house looks great. The offices look good.
Thanks. Yeah, we're excited. It's really fitting our family. It's really fitting our business. It was a pivot because we were planning on having a house and a separate office. But we happened to find a house big enough for all of it and still saved a little bit of money. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, but no, it's working out great. It's, just perfect for us. So,
well, I love the pics of because I know you guys do, which I love, every Sunday evening family dinner. And I love the pics. And I saw the ones from yesterday. I think you posted up. Why I follow, but I'm like, that looks awesome. The house is so great. Everybody just fits right in there. It's like everybody's got a seat at the table. It's nice.
Well, no, actually, there's not enough room at the table. We still have to get extra chairs, and It's crazy because it's super loud. Like Terry and I, like during the week, it's
sure.
really quiet. It's really mellow. And then Sunday, it's man, everything freaking goes and it's loud and it's boisterous and there's yelling and there's food. And I mean, it's great. I love it.
There must be about 30 of you, it looks like.
Well, last night was bigger because of our nephews are in town, so I think that's what they are. So and so they came over, and we still had all the rest of the normals, but it was a full blown attack. It was pretty awesome. So,
hey, that's what I need. I need to be a nephew of the Samuels, right. so I can come to family dinner. That would be good. I would love that.
You know what? It's open. If you're in town, you come hang out. I'll feed you. That's just how it is.
Yeah, and then next week is Skylar's birthday dinner. So Skylar's birthday is next Sunday. So happy birthday, Skylar. So
happy birthday, Skylar.
So he actually gets to pick the menu and the kind of the whole thing. So it gets pretty fun. But
that's good.
Oh, yeah, it is great. So, but I think that it's pretty cool that you like it. It's really special for us, obviously, and
well, I love it. I mean, I have no siblings, and both of my parents are deceased, and my wife, as well, just comes from a very small family. She just has one brother, and we all live in different places, so we don't have that. And so I just love it because I think it's great for you, but like I have my two kids, and I think that would be such a special environment for everybody involved, but especially the kids. I think is that connection. You're driving that tradition, building those connections, galvanizing those relationships. It's all good.
Well, I mean, your kids still live at home because they're younger, but for us, 4 of the 5 kids don't live at home. So this is the way for us to stay connected, see each other more often. Like, I talk to my kids like practically every day, but like I want to see them. I want to, and the grandbabies, oh my gosh, I totally want to see them as often as possible, And I know that it's not going to be forever, but I'll take everything I can get.
Yeah. I can't even imagine the cranberries. My son is leaving next month for college, so that'll be hard. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, you're already part of the family. Alice definitely refers to you as best friend Randy. So
I love it.
Is your son going to college kind of close to you guys?
He's going to Michigan State, so it's about 3.5, 4 hours away. So not horrible, but not where I could go see him like for lunch if I wanted to. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's for sure. So anyway, how did you get started in this digital marketing SEO game in the first place?
That is funny. So I'll tell 2 stories. So one, when I actually first started in digital marketing and SEO, this was way back in early, like 2007. And I had a company at that time doing educational services, and I needed to build my own call center, take calls, book tests, all of this stuff. And so we built out this call center. So then in 2008, I'm like, I want to actually kind of create this as a business and serve other clients as well out of this call center, kind of help pay for it. And so that's when I decided, hey, I'm going to build a website. I'm going to start doing some paid ads. I'm going to kind of get into this SEO thing a little bit. It was all kind of new to me, but that was my first intro to it. Right. So I was, out of necessity and also just out of my own curiosity. I'm one of these guys. I kind of like to do things. I look at them like, well, I could do that. I don't know. You should see some of my home repairs. But I I grew up on a farm, so I just have that mentality like, well, you got to fix it. So we
Yeah.
can do that. Um, and and so I just started doing that and doing some of the SEO, and then eventually some friends of mine, and I started applying it to my education company, and some friends of mine who were also in the industry began asking if I could do some of this stuff for them, help them along. And so um, by 2012, I'd sold my education company and was just kind of doing on the side this other SEO kind of thing for friends that were still doing it. And then, and then in 2016, I decided just to kind of go do it full time with an agency. And then the second part, people always ask me as well, how'd you get into this press release thing? And I know it's similar with you guys. I kind of subscribe to the idea of multiple silos of revenue for your business. And I kind of thought, what could we do that would create more revenue beyond just having SEO clients? And so after kind of looking at marketplaces and kind of looking at stuff, what was out there, I kind of decided, press releases seemed to be kind of like a service that at that time was not heavily saturated with competitors aside from the big guns, and seemed like there was room to jump into that. And
So,
so I did then in 2017, and then we built out our newsroom, and then really kind of launched really wholeheartedly and with our newsroom in end of 17, early 2018.
so you guys do a lot more than like I know you for the press releases and connecting at the different events, but you guys have like web design and pay-per-click and like all kinds of everything, right?
Yeah, so that's on our agency side, right? So 38 Digital Market, that's our agency. And then, and then just recently, uh, just recently, well, I should start out and I should even tell this little story. So, well, y'all know Craig Campbell, and so Craig and I are good friends as well. And I don't know, maybe 2 years ago now, Craig, is always just pestering me about, you really should think about just really building this brand around your press releases, because he and I had multiple talks about, exit strategies and how do you build this thing so that it's marketable. And then he started hitting me about you should build this as a brand, and then it would be much easier than if you have it wrapped up inside your agency. That makes it a little more complicated. I'm like, that's interesting. And so I was away. I was speaking at Jesper Nielsen's event out in Denmark. I was like 2 years ago, 2 summers ago, I think it was. And I bought the domain, uh, thenewsguy.com. And it was kind of expensive at the time, but I had just sat on it. I hadn't done anything with it. And then even just earlier this year, I was talking with Terry, and I'm like, Terry, well, I don't know what should I do, and then convinced me like, yep, you should build this site. You can do this, and then you can redirect. Because I was always wrapped my head around how do I so many people go to 38 Digital Market and order our press releases. I didn't want, to all of a sudden upset the flow. And anyway, long story short, uh, um, Elisabeth did a fabulous job creating thenewsguy.com website. And and then we had figured out how to do a redirect, and I did it at the HT access file on just pages on the 38 digital domain. So when you click on that press releases page, it's going to actually just take you right over to thenewsguy.com. And there we have then all of our other, services of press releases and link building and all that other fun stuff. So
Cool.
long story.
Yeah,
well, all
yeah.
kinds of stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important because we obviously had the same thing happen as we started building SEO University, and then of course spring training underneath the Salterra brand, not realizing they need to be separate, for multiple purposes. I mean, exit is one thing, but not kind of getting everything into the same kind of net type of thing. But that's really cool. That's awesome. That
I think, in thinking about it in hindsight, back in 2018, I never really kind of thought about it as like, oh, dude, I was just looking for like, here's another silo of business we could do. And, just as things expanded and grew, it just like, this makes much more sense. Now, I think I would probably have the foresight, in doing something different that I would like, we'll try to just peel it off separately, leverage some of the brands, existing brands to help push, a new brand or something like that. But I think ultimately, yes, kind of keep the brand separate helps, long term to be able to deal with that asset. And that's probably is the biggest thing. And thinking about it is, treat these things as an asset. I have these conversations with my clients all the time about their website. Like, you got to think about this as an asset. This is a valuable asset to you. It's not just some place on the internet, and you have to control it. You have to nurture it. Down the road, it becomes even much, much more valuable to you. So,
for sure.
Yeah.
Take your own advice.
I know, right? Yeah. So, but it's worked out great at this point. It's been a good journey over the years. So,
you need to get a GMB on for it out of your home.
Working on that.
So let me know if you need any help. There's somebody in the group that that's on it right now. Might be able to help with that. His initials are kind of JP.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you know right now. So back to the multiple silos, right? So one of my, I was doing the affiliate game for a number of years, like buy an age domain, build it out, take a year to kind of build it out, put the content on it, launch it, boom, build it out, and then flip it like about 8 to 12 months down the road once you had enough revenue rolling. But then when was it, in 22? The algo upgrades at the end of that year, just started spanking some of the affiliate sites, and I just got really nervous, I guess, in thinking about, because we would invest, I would buy, an age domain for $4,000 to $6,000 just for the domain. And then we'd invest a ton of money in content development for it and all of this stuff. I mean, by the time that we were getting ready to go flip the thing, I'd probably put in $20,000 to $30,000 investment on the site.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to risk all of that just because of an algo update, and then I can, get my money back out of this thing. So I switched to doing lead gen stuff and just creating sites and creating leads and then selling the leads. And sorry, long story into this, but just recently, like last month, all of a sudden it's like become super easy to get GMBs approved in different locations with only an email verification. And so I'm like, wow, this is good.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of text verifications too. So for certain things, and especially local businesses, we'll go to the business and we'll set it up right there, at the location, and where it seems like we're not even needing to do that anymore. So I mean, again, but it'll change.
I know it will. Yeah. That's what I've told other folks as well, is like, listen, you start jumping on, populating some GMBs if you need some somewhere, because now it just seems, nice to do. easy
sure.
to do.
Yeah, 100%. And that's, I mean, I don't know, we're obviously we have a lot of GMBs for not only us but our clients too, and
Right.
I still hate that part of the business because it's still the big question mark.
Yeah.
Now granted, we found Lead Snap, which Lead Snap allows the staff to work on the GMBs without logging into them, which is like that was half my stress already.
Yeah.
Is somebody just uploading an image and all of a sudden we have to re-verify
Yeah.
or some stupid crap like that. So so that kind of is a better process. But yeah, but it's still, I think it's almost expected from whether Google or whatever to kind of solidify a real business, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I think it does. It's just another signal, right? The search engines that you're a legitimate business, and you do all of these other things, setting up social profiles, and all of these things that you would think a regular business is doing. And so a GMB or GBP is just part of that. It's what a regular local business would do. So yeah, I think it's a really important signal to do. And yeah, it's been nice. So
Well,
I can't
we have 5 main affiliate sites, and I have a map for each one. And I have a scooter, skateboard, type of affiliate site. I have a scooter map, and I probably get 30 to 40 calls a month for scooter repair on my map, and I don't do. I just have to tell them, sorry, we're an online marketplace. We really don't fix these things, or even have a store that you can come buy a tire at or something.
there's a good side business. You guys out there in Phoenix, right? You guys doing scooters all the time there. Last time we went there for a family vacation, spring break, right before COVID, and or it was right after things loosened up with COVID, I guess. And my daughter and I were like tooling around on those little, individual little scooters. I'm like, God, that's a riot.
Yeah.
Scooting around Scottsdale and those things. I was like, I love it.
Yeah, they're pretty cool for sure, and it's a great affiliate site. It's just and like I said, it's just the only one that my map, and of course we don't do anything to get these maps to rank, but that one just ranked. I mean, I've never done a press release. I don't even think I've done citations to them or nothing. And all of a sudden I'm getting calls on my call line going, what the hell? So now I just send it to a voicemail. Just says, sorry, online marketplace, or thank you for your continued support, Phoenix.
Well, there you go. So you got to get Brandon set up in a scooter repair shop, right? And then send them all right there. That would be good.
Exactly. So now, are you continually, obviously you probably are, but you're continually trying to add more? Is it getting harder to add more news channels to your press releases, or at some point you get to the point of saying, I've got all I can get. The rest of these aren't budging, or I'm not hearing from them, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm always looking to expand, and really what I'm trying to expand and trying to deal with, but which is seemingly difficult. And then I kind of weigh the cost benefit, right, of it, but are more of some of the overseas. Like I really have been trying to do something in Australia and build a news network as to do in Australia. Because I have a lot of clients that come to us from Australia, but man, it's not easy. Because there's not a good syndication network already built there. And so anything that I would be doing is like with each individual news site. And it really is hard to negotiate anything that makes it kind of feasible to do when you're doing all these one-offs. And I don't, so that has been frustrating. But we just expanded and built a good partnership for Canadian distribution
Of
because
course.
we also had a lot. We also have a lot of Canadian folks. So now you can do an add-on. I think we're up to like 102 or something like that, odd number like that. Canadian news sites that we distribute through that you with an add-on. So, but yeah, it's always, and you know how it is with business. You're always looking like you want to add, but you also have to think about, if I do this, is it going to add a value to what we're existing, what we're doing already, and or can we, get the return on what the cost is going to be, and so you're always kind of weighing on that. What
Yeah.
I find is that I think right now is a bit more of a benefit, and that I'm focusing on uh, expanding and thinking more about. You'll be the news bloke. Yes, exactly. Is what can we do as add-on services? You buy a press release from us, then what? And what can we do to help support that press release after the fact?
Yeah.
And there's a lot more from a business standpoint. It makes a lot more sense that we have I think we have a pretty good distribution, pretty good network for our PRs. And then, so without kind of creating a lot of time and turmoil around that, what can we do to do as add-ons so that then, our average transaction, and you have to remember as well, before I even, my first half of my career, I ran retail stores for a couple of national retailers. And so my mindset is always about, customer service, average transactions, doing add-on sales. I'm like, all right. Um, and so for me, and with that mindset, I'm like, well, people are going to come to us by our PR services. What can we do as an add-on to drive that average ticket up, and solidify our service with them? And so that I'm spending more time thinking about that than I am on, because the Australian thing, that's the one that like I bang my head up against the wall. So I'd like to be the news bloke. I really would.
Yeah, that'd be exciting because I've had some New Zealand and Australian clients, and obviously press releases is a big part of my SOPs, and
Yeah.
it does get kind of frustrating a little bit when you have to explain, well, you guys just aren't sophisticated enough to have this
I
set up.
know. Yeah, I know. It's not like you want to insult anybody or a whole country, right? Continent, but
Exactly.
it's
You guys need to communicate more on a news
yeah,
countrywide
like,
situation. Maybe have a
yeah,
meeting somewhere.
can you guys
Um,
do something? I can't, and I'm like, God, I can't believe that somebody's like less advanced than Canada, but
Well, and we've talked about this a bunch of times. We do a lot with press releases after the fact, and matter of fact, that's some of the stuff I want to talk to you about later on in the week. But and I think that's the biggest thing that people don't realize, and there's still. I mean, I don't know how many you can figure out how many people order from you, but a huge percentage of people just buy a press release and then that's it. They don't do anything else. They don't do anything with the links. They
yeah,
don't. They just sit there. They show a report, but they don't take advantage of some of the stuff that's in there that they should be taken advantage of. And
yeah,
I teach this, and was talking to one of my students, and I asked him, "Well, what do you do with the press release?" He said, "We haven't done anything with them. They're just sitting there." And he goes, "What am I supposed? What would you do?" And I said, "Well, I would send maybe some backlinks to the most powerful links, as a first step, And he goes, "Well, there's 500 links. Which ones are the most powerful?" you know. And I said, "There's different tools that you can judge this stuff, but the way I tested it is I put in the exact title of the press release in search, and whichever one's number 1, 2, and 3 are the ones that I'm going to send backlinks to.
yep, yep,
It's not rocket science. If
yep,
Google puts them 1, 2, and 3, then I'm going to assume that they're 1, 2, and 3, and I could put all those links into Ahrefs or Search
right,
Atlas
right,
or
right,
any of these tools and find out these numbers, but the numbers don't mean nothing if they're not
yeah.
showing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
um,
No, absolutely. And That's aside from you do some incredible PR stacking, but as a after, what do you do after a PR? But just some basic stuff and I'm always reminding people as well the fact of you have to think of press releases in these news site articles as a tier one link.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do with any other tier one link that you want to boost and support to drive more juice to your own site or to your money site or whatever is it's linking to? And so exactly right. That's one of the very first things that I tell people. Just do the search. Whatever ones pop up, those are the ones you want to give some love to. Um,
Exactly.
and even there's just some simple things even that don't take a lot of time. You can so on our service you can download from the link either a PDF file where the links are active on that PDF file, or you can download an Excel file. But you could download the PDF file. And if you don't want to give a lot of thought to this, you could go over to Legit or one of those other guys that'll take for $5 or $10 will go post your PDF on 100 or so PDF sites, some of those directory sites or what have you. And that will then just fire up all of those things even. It's a great way just to continue to drive some juice to all of those news sites.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just simple steps that you can do. And what I have seen and have proven out is the more that you do reasonably, right? So don't go through GSA links, a million GSA links at these things
Yeah.
because, that's a good way to nuke them all to death. But if you do reasonable stuff, right? Less than a couple hundred, that to these links, but it begins to signal engagement to those news sites, and it will push then the life cycle or the lifespan of those PRs.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's sites, and I have that are 4 going almost 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That we've published out there and have kept them alive.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I was just shooting a video actually in regards to a case study. Um, and I was using the Craig Campbell case study that's on our site. But and then doing that, I just went to go look, and I was doing a search, and a ton of those PRs that we did for Craig on this very specific thing around the case study, and this was back in October of 2020. A ton
Mm-hmm.
of those PR links are still active now.
Sure.
4 years later. So
Yep. Yeah, there's all kinds of things you can do. I mean, I teach people to start your press release as a blog post on your website. And
yeah,
and then you can have all kinds of stuff happen from there. And and then of course, my big thing I do is I add all the links into the schema, same as, and so there's all kinds of things you can do to press releases, except for just paying a couple $100 for one, and that's it.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
um,
Oh
this
man,
guy, this guy I was talking to said he has 4 a year in his budget, and I'm like, okay, so one every quarter, and I was like, well, what if you could do one and do it really, really, really well, and maybe do 2 a year? And have them all connected to each other. So you're not just having them. And he just, it was one of the things that he's like, So, but I do encourage you guys out there to don't just do press releases and do just press releases. So,
yeah.
um,
Don't just leave them sitting. I mean, that's like buying a Tesla and then just leaving it in your
for
driveway.
sure. Yeah. And especially, and then there's an interesting question then, how is AI either affecting you in your business with press releases, or do you see it affecting some of the news publications that you are sending press releases to? Are they doing more with AI that you can see on the initial like submission phase
Yeah,
now?
yeah. I have to be honest with you. I don't. At least on the press release side, at this point, I just don't see AI impact in it from that standpoint. And I will, with our service, you can either, we'll write the article for you, and we have a full writing team and an editing team then, or you can submit your own article and we'll publish it as long as it meets, the standards and requirements. Um, and we get a lot of, folks like, well, here's a article, and my editor's like, well, this is written with AI. I'm like, well, but what I found though is that news sites will submit them and the news sites still publish. What I don't know, and I just haven't done any study on it, is how did those, what I know to be AI written or generated content pieces, you know, what's the uh, well, two things that I would want would be, what's the distribution? Is it more or less? What my inclination would be less. And then as well, what's the lifespan or life cycle of an AI generated piece? And then to your point, what you made just about, well, which are the more important ones? Does an AI piece of content in a press release, does it um, rank, or does it rank, pop up in the search engines as in depth or as frequent as other that we write? So I haven't done any of that stuff because I'm not a proponent of doing the AI stuff with the PR, but only because I think there's nuances to it, and especially if you're doing it from an SEO standpoint. And so that's why we continue to do handwritten stuff, and why it's a part of our process. So.
Yeah, and I was I do some stuff with Google News too, and I was looking at some of these websites that are doing now AI generated auto publishing articles on their Google News
Yeah,
sites,
yeah.
and I'm just wondering how long it's going to take for. I mean, because they're literally posting thousands a day, and how long is it going to take before it
Yeah.
gets zapped?
I don't see how that's going to last by any means,
I don't either.
because that kind of stuff, is exactly what happened with some of these websites. Like, it seems like they'll kind of go, people that are publishing hundreds of thousands of pages a month, at such a rapid pace with all AI generated content. And I know, a number of people that had done that and were
Mhm.
doing okay with it, and then they just got spanked, right? And then it just
For
completely
sure.
died. And my inclination is, on the platforms that you're talking about, my inclination is that's going to happen the same way. I don't know
Yeah.
how long it will take, but it will happen.
Yeah, I mean, it just, I don't know. It's just, again, it's, one of the reasons why I tell people content's so important to actually pay attention to nowadays, is because
Yeah,
you have to get your stuff above and beyond and around the crap that
yeah,
is out
yeah,
there. So,
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's like being a beautiful fish in a dark ocean. You're just trying to get the spotlight a little bit, So,
I have
um,
not heard that. A beautiful fish in a dark ocean.
He's got some great ones.
That sounded like me at the bars in my early days. I was like, "Oh, such a handsome guy," in the
Fish in a dark ocean.
What's the goals for Randy and the news guy and 38 Digital and all that stuff for the rest of the year?
Oh, dude, goals for Randy. I don't know. I want to work. My goal. I always want to read 50 books a year. I'm a big reader. I like to learn. But anyway, I don't know. 38 Digital. I I like our clients, and I'm right now. I'm just being very selective on new clients that we pull in. And so, you know, do I want to continue to grow our agency? kind of yes and no. I'm probably one of the few agency guys who are like, yeah, I just gotta, I want to keep getting bigger and bigger in my agency and da da da. And like, I'm like, not really. I want clients that I really like and the businesses that I really like and that I want to work with. And so because of that, I am selective on who and the amount of effort that we're doing. So the agency, I would say, I'd like to continue to pull in clients, but I want them to be clients that I want to work with and that I think
Mhm.
have really interesting businesses that I think that we can do some fun stuff with.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe that makes me sound like a snob or something. I don't know. But I do, that is my goal for that, and continue to, uh, along with that, continue to refine our skills on what we're doing. And the current updates and algo updates, and certainly AI, and is, it's interesting. And it's interesting from an SEO and running an SEO agency and working with SEO clients, because it's always incumbent upon us. Well, how do we always provide the best service and drive the best results for clients in the continuing changing environment? And so this search generated, or AI generated search, is like, wow, well, how do we, kind of make our splash? How do we rank? How do we search when we're, in that environment? And so I always find that's interesting to me.
Mhm.
And and whether it's, and by the way, hey, Terry's got a new schema class, and I think you're registering for a new round of course. You are the schema brain.
Of course, I hope we're fine tuning the technical side of it, but it should be released. I'm gonna say today, or excuse me, tomorrow or Wednesday. But yeah,
There you
it's
go.
gonna be gosh, I think it's 15 modules, 54 lessons. I mean,
Yeah,
it's pretty much anything you can ever want to know about schema or don't know. I
yeah.
don't really care. And I got really tired of, and the whole reason I like teaching this is I got really tired of people assuming that they have, rank math or Yoast or something on their site and they have schema. And well, yeah, you do, but you also have the same schema that millions of other sites have. And there's so much more you can do with it. And so,
Right, right.
and that's the thing I like to teach people is just the thought process of what
Yeah,
else you can do. I
yeah,
mean, um, and once you go down that rabbit hole, so to speak, it's just, we're still finding stuff. We found some stuff last week that's just like, wow, we can put that in there. Like, cool. So, and it's just an ongoing animal. But the nice thing about it is we have seen it truly help people. Again,
yeah.
it's not a ranking factor. It's not like Google has it on a list of 50. But what it does is it gives Google a better understanding of the content, which
Right,
allows you
right.
to rank for more terms.
Yep,
So
yep.
I explain it that you could start ranking for 5 terms. And after you install this type of schema, you can be ranking for 50 terms.
Yeah,
So that's the advantage of schema, and
yeah,
among other things.
yeah.
But I also, my big disclaimer, I had a conversation with a guy last week, is also this type of schema will not fix a website that's already doing bad. If you got a website that's either going downhill or you got hit with an update or something, this
Yeah.
type of schema is not going to be the magic bullet to fix it. It's not. So once
Not the
you
magic bullet, but, certainly as part of a fix, right?
Oh, yeah, it's part
Yeah,
of a fix,
yeah,
but don't just think you can pay me $1,500 for schema and all of a sudden your website's going to be loved by Google again.
yeah,
You got to fix the initial reason why you got
yeah,
dinged. That's the whole thing. You don't crash your car and then put a new transmission in it.
yeah,
It just doesn't make any sense. But
yeah,
um, but yeah, no, thanks for mentioning that. It's just because it is a passion of mine. It's one of the things I truly enjoy. I love everything about on page, but schema Schema is pretty cool because of all the different things that we can tell the search engines that we can't on the public side.
Well, I'll tell you, here's a great story. So I'm a part of a bunch of different, kind of private groups, in the industry kind of thing. And I'm a part of one group, and uh, I don't know, it was like Monday. I'm not generally on the weekends. I try to kind of shut down unless it's my team asking me something, but I'm not all that active on any of the other stuff. Um, and I came in, I think it was just last week. I came into the office on Monday, and I was like kind of getting caught up on, on the chats and various things. And I pulled into this one group, and there's this long string of a conversation, and it started with like, "Man, I'm trying to fix something. I'm trying to get more notice on our site, and I really think I got to look at schema, and I want to build out this persona, blah blah blah." And then, and it was asking like, anybody know what, something I can use and look at as an example. And then somebody will like chimed in, "You got to go look at Terry Samuels at Salterra. It is the bomb." And then and they posted a link to your site, and then and then it was just like bing 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 bing, "Oh my god, this is like incredible, who the hell is this guy?" Like, wow. Yes. Oh yeah. And then it was like, "Holy shit, have you seen what this guy does? This thing's like 50 pages long." Yeah. I'm like, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I just put in at the end, I'm jumping in late to the pool, but yeah, that he's the master. He is the Yoda of schema. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like I said, that's awesome. Because it's like I said, they probably stole the schema and are out there doing their own thing, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. But it is something that can set you differently than everybody else. It's like people that do press releases, right? You've got, in order to succeed in this business, you've got to be different. And
Yeah.
I'm not talking about go be a black hat and start doing
Right,
crazy
right,
stuff,
right.
but you've got to do things that other people won't do because maybe it's a little bit more expensive or it might take a little bit more time. Advanced schema is not hard. The schema that I teach isn't hard. It just takes time, and unfortunately, most people in this business are after that quick hit, after the quick buck, after the easy button, after all this stuff. They get paid $1,500 a month and they pocket $1,300 and wonder why their sites aren't doing well.
Why isn't it working?
Exactly. Why? What's going on? I'm spending $150 a month here. But yeah, it's just, again, set yourself apart, do things differently.
Yeah.
Get around people that do things differently. But still,
Okay, so Terry's really humble. Like, he really does a lot of hard work, and he really puts all of his
I
effort.
know he does.
And I mean, I know he's kind of glossing over, but yeah, like the first time I took his on-page course, and like, you guys know me, like, I know enough to be dangerous. Like, I can talk SEO with all the big dogs, but I don't want to actually do it, right? And the first day in his very first course, I'm like, "Oh shit, that's a lot of work. I don't want to work that hard."
Yeah, nobody. Yes, that's what Craig has always said. Like, us SEO, we're just lazy fucks. We don't want to do all of this stuff. I'm like, yeah, but
yeah.
I
Terry
think
does.
you personify though the idea that you can make your way and your presence in the business because you are willing to do and to teach the detail stuff that people don't want to do and the boring stuff, right? I've
Oh,
got a quote on my whiteboard in front of me that says, "Hey, it's the boring shit that makes you rich." And if you can focus on that stuff because nobody wants to do it, and then drive a fair price for it, you're going to be fine. You will do well. Nobody, I don't want to sit and write 50 pages of schema. That's why I'm like, "Terry, well, I need, come do this for me."
yeah,
Yeah.
sure. And but again, it's, the whole thing that we try to teach, especially that even when we started talking about this podcast, is just, doing things differently. Don't just be an SEO guy,
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
more,
Yeah.
be the person that makes recommendations when you talk to your clients. Find out what else they're not doing. Find out, what else they should be doing. I had a client, or that he's not a client, but I had a guy come to me for a proposal about 2 weeks ago, and just through the conversation of what his goals are, he doesn't need SEO right now. He needs pay-per-click. So, but you got to know that going in order to make the right decision. Now, I'll probably get him for SEO. He's going to do pay-per-click with us, but right now it's not part of his goals. He doesn't have the time to wait for income. And so that takes SEO off the table pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But if I'd have said, no, I'm sorry, you need to go find a pay-per-click company, this pay-per-click company probably would have got him, and they probably would have sold him SEO in 6 months or a year.
Oh, sure.
Ready for it. So,
but I think that's very, very earlier, as we were talking, about, kind of setting yourself apart and being successful in the business. I do think that if you have a mindset, and this is something that I tried to do, and is very important for me, if you approach your business with clients and within the industry with a commitment to being, I think, well, I'll say ethical, but really with the mindset of, I want to be sure we're doing the right thing for you, not necessarily what's the most profitable or, where I can make the buck from you. But if I can listen to the client or to my friends in the industry's needs and then think, this is probably what you should do, or here's a solution for you, and think maybe I might be a part of that. And oftentimes I'm not a part of that solution, but it's the right thing to do. I'm a big believer, and I know, y'all are people of faith as well. I believe, that stuff is going to come back. If I treat people with compassion and honesty, and not focused on how it's going to benefit me, I just think, I'll get my rewards at another point.
100%. Yeah, definitely. And wherever you're at in your, I used to say walk, but wherever you're at in your existence of your path or whatever. And, I still have the very first.
I like walk. I don't know the existence of your path. Like wherever you are in your walk. Yes.
Yeah. But I think obviously when you're starting out, money is the driving factor of decisions. So, if you're sitting there needing money, you're going to take a client on, at whatever he'll pay you, basically.
Yeah.
And then as you get into this business and start realizing that, you can actually charge more money and get better clients, which we all go through. That $300 a month client is the biggest pain in the ass of the month compared to the $3,000 a month client that you can barely get on the phone to talk to.
Yes.
So, but yeah, it's we were all there at the beginning. I still have my first client for $400 a month, 8.5 years later, still pays me $400 a month. We go to sushi every quarter and talk and, have fun.
Nice.
He gave me a chance when I really, kind of needed a chance. It's not that I wanted to be in this business, but
right.
So well, that's awesome. So you're up in Ohio, huh? Right? Is that where you're at?
Outside of Cleveland.
Good time of year this year for weather?
Hit or miss. It is. The last few days it's been a bit hotter than normal for this time of, like, for us to be in the mid to upper 80s that's this time of year. Like toward the end of August, middle of August, we might hit that for a few days, but otherwise from my wife and I always kind of say this about Ohio and where we live anyway, in Northeast Ohio, which is Ohio is really nice from May through November, through Thanksgiving. I mean, it's a great place to be. The weather is very nice, very pleasing. You got some change of seasons. And so we always I don't know, I don't need to go travel during that time because it's like the best time to be in Ohio. So
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
but it is nice here right now. It's good.
And that's
But
Right
the
on.
time of the year that it's miserable in Arizona because, May, November, it's so
exactly.
freaking hot. So we'll go to Ohio.
Yes, come to Ohio. Yeah. Yeah, no, we just got back though from Iceland. We took a family trip. My son wanted to go, and so we took him for kind of a graduation gift, kind of something to do kind of memorable before he goes off to college. And yeah, we were there for 8 days, and it was Iceland is a crazy place.
That's cool. Yeah, I've always wanted to go there.
Yeah. This time of year, like, 50s is kind of the normal weather there, so, um, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I wonder when do you guys get your first snow? Is it boats out of the water at Halloween type of thing?
Sometimes it's been, but, I absolutely recall instances where we've gone trick or treating and, and having snow on the ground. Same with, we've had snow at Mother's Day, as well. So it's,
Yeah.
yeah, so it could come kind of anywhere in there. But generally, though, first snow, measurable snow, meaning like an inch or more, can be, around Thanksgiving. Uh, yeah,
Yeah, it's when we had our house in Indiana, it was Northwest Indiana, and I always used to think we used to purposely. I tried to go around Halloween because it was a mad scramble to get boats. I'd never seen anything like it. Is get your boats out of the water Halloween. I was like, it's like an annual thing, And I'm like,
yeah,
okay, so who are all these boat people that get all these things out of the water and
yeah,
need
yeah,
to get into that business
yeah,
at least 1 month of the year?
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So same kind of here. It's like, well, by a certain date, usually by November, that first weekend of November, I'm like, all right, I got to be sure I got the house kind of winterized, all the lawn furniture kind of put away and everything ready for a snow. Put the little hoodie thing on the outdoor faucets, so prevent them from freezing. You don't have to worry about that in Phoenix, I know. So
Yeah, no, nope. Here it's like at least get your booties on your dog's paws before it gets
I
pretty
know,
mild.
I know
Dogs.
it.
So
Yeah. So I'm excited. We'll give a plug to our friend Chris. So I'm excited to see you guys are going to be out at Legit Live in September. So that'll be fun. You're
yeah,
speaking. I'll be speaking, presenting as well. And yeah, yeah, that's going to be a great conference. I think it'll be a lot of
yeah. I
fun.
think there's a couple of them coming up. Obviously, we're going to be in Gatlinburg next week for Patrick Shannon's, which that one's another agency growth one that's just incredible. But then Tracy's in Washington, Tracy and Michael's in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And then Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach is like one of my bucket list trips. I think I was telling you I'm shipping my golf clubs. We're actually going to either go in a couple days
Yeah.
early or stay a couple
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited about both of those. And then of course Vegas again for rock stars. So
Yep. Yep. I'll be there
um,
for that one as well. And I think, yeah, so to fully plug, well, I'm disappointed that uh I can't remember the name, but the Rayburns, what the name of their conference is called. It's
what was it? What's the name of
Business
that?
Titans.
Yeah,
Business Titans. Yes.
yeah.
So that's happening the same time that we're moving my son to college. So I'm like, if he was like going his second year, I'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll come. But I can't miss the first year. That's going to be a big deal. So, um, and then I think as well, Holly Stark is going to is doing another dark AI in
Mhm.
October. I can't remember the dates in that, but I think it's toward the second half of October. Um, that'll be outside of Chicago. So
Yeah.
hopefully you guys will give that some thought as well. Come to that would be fun.
Yeah, definitely. The first one was awesome. It was one of my favorite ones we did that year. And just because it was different, it went
Yeah,
down went down a road where we don't go down that often. And
Yeah.
some of the stuff people are doing with AI, both great and scary, are pretty cool.
I know it. Yeah, I have to talk with her. I mean, I want to go and learn, but I really don't do a lot of stuff with AI. So I'm kind of like, and she's got this thing like, well, if you're going to come, you're going to present. I'm like, I don't have anything to present on AI.
That's exactly what Elisabeth and I are saying. And, we can't go because we don't have anything. We're not, I'm not going to say we're behind the 8 ball because we are doing some stuff with Chat GPT, but I talked about that at the first Dark AI. So I'm not doing anything different than the last time I went there. So I feel kind of guilty taking a spot and not being able to share. And
I know. So that's the one thing I've got to talk about it. I'm going to see her this weekend. So I'm like, hey, do you think,
can you squeeze me in?
Yeah, what if I come, but what if I, I could present something, but it may not be AI related because I'll say AI, hey, AI, it's your friend, but I'm going to talk about something else.
Exactly.
I'm looking forward to. It is kind of conference season coming up here in the fall, so it'll be fun. I love going to conferences and.
I do too. We're, like I said, we're being at least I'm being selective. I've turned down a lot of conferences this year to speak at, but that's more because I'm, kind of being selfish for Salterra this year. So it's not that I love speaking, but I think last year was the first year I felt that we didn't really have the growth that I expected to have. And I'm like, okay, maybe I need to spend more time here and, be more in the trenches. So type of thing, which I enjoy.
Oh, that's good, man. That's mature. That's a good business leader thinking about it in those terms. Conferences for me are always good because A, I love the network, and B, I generally always can go to conferences and generate, good business contacts that either they work for me, at that moment or shortly after the conferences, or, I could tell you all kinds of stories where I met somebody, did something and he connected me with somebody and they connected me with somebody that all of a sudden, like, man, they're a monster client for us now. So you just never know where any of that stuff
comes. And that's and then you build relationships that you just, gosh, I don't know. I mean, I've known people like Craig Campbell and all these. I've known them, years, 6-7 years, and it's, I've watched their kids grow. They've watched my kids grow, and it's just it's different, and you can shoot the shit with them, and that kind of thing. But no, I think if people are on the fence about attending conferences, I think you attend the conference at wherever you're at that you want help with. Obviously, if you're starting out, you probably don't want to go to an agency building conference. Maybe you want to go to, something a little more technical or something a little bit more, order fulfilling, I should say.
Like, always reach out to people, because I think if you're just starting out, like, there's a lot of things we did not know. We had no clue just starting out. So getting some kind of a foundational structure, having, somebody to kind of mentor you, I think that's super important.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And one of the things that I've found so wonderful about this industry, and you kind of mentioned a bit there, Terry, is that, the folks you meet, whether it's at conferences or online, or you make these connections, and people are just genuinely, I'm sure there's some out there that don't fall into this bucket, but nearly probably 98% of the people that have met and or roll with are just really good people. And you're like, wow, I'm just so impressed and so glad they're kind of in my life and I can call them friends.
For sure, 100%.
And so I say that in regards to, I was going to build on what Elisabeth was saying, is that reaching out to people is like, I don't know that I've ever reached out to somebody where I'm really kind of seeking, some input or their thoughts on, where somebody has ever said, either that they didn't respond, because generally somebody has always responded, or they've kind of brushed me off. And even when early on when I was just trying to start rolling. I never had that experience. So yeah, so definitely reach
Definitely.
out, ask questions. Absolutely.
And your podcast is back tomorrow, right?
It is back. So I'm on at 10 a.m. Eastern. And tomorrow we've got Mads Singers
Yeah.
is on
One of our
live.
favorite people. We every time Mads comes to town, we go to dinner, and
Yeah.
he's spoken at a lot of our events, and I'm hoping to speak at his event next year. So I don't know. I've always had this thing about being in a plane for 16 hours and my knees.
Yeah, because I think his is in Vietnam, isn't it?
Vietnam, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's on the tentative list to go, just because
Yeah.
I just respect Mads and everything he does, and great guy.
I have to get my youngest out of college, not out of college, out of high school. So she'll be a junior. As soon as I get her into college, then my wife and I will then go do some of those long, go to, like, I want to go to Chiang Mai. I want to do that conference. I want to do MADS. So because then I want to go to those, you know, 13, 16-hour plane ride away kind of conference, and then be able to stay there for, a week or 2 weeks after, and kind of travel around, kind of see it a little bit. It's hard to do that when I've got kids in high school. So.
Oh, for sure. And those aren't trips that you just go for a couple of days and turn around and fly back. It's
Yeah.
But cool. Well, we're a little bit over an hour. Thank you so much for coming on. It was
absolutely. Anytime.
I love being on yours, and I just, when Elisabeth and I were talking about who should we get on, let's get Randy on, because Randy's always been, great to us on his podcast, and we're just starting this thing. We really don't know what kind of format we're going to do yet, but yeah. So
I don't know. I had a podcast, a regular podcast, not live streamed, called Running the Bases. And I did that for like 3.5 years. And I think you eventually, you just find
the
kind
sweet
of
spot.
you do. You find your voice, right, on what it is and how you kind of want it to flow and what you want to talk about with folks. And I think you get there. It took me almost 1.5 years in doing that podcast before I finally this is really what I liked much better. And not that will take you that long. I saw you roll your eyes, Elisabeth. Like, oh God. But finally I'm like, that makes sense. I'm not the fastest learner, so eventually I get it. But but I do think you eventually find your voice and format, and then it becomes less work and more fun. And then when that happens, then I think your audience builds from that. Then they engage more. They you're more natural, and so it just, I don't know, it begins to work. I think begins to click.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, we're excited about it. It's something that we've been wanting to do for a while. We've had equipment. I mean, I think I bought Holly's equipment. I bought a couple people's equipment, and we don't have a separate room, but we can both be in the same room yet. So that's like our next graduating step. But it's fun. I mean, we like it, and it's hard to stay at that 1 hour mark. You want to keep going and all this stuff like that. Yeah. So, but no,
this is what I should do. I should book you guys together on my Hot Off the Press. And then I'm going to spear the conversation around how the two of you as a married couple work together and run a business.
Sure. Do it.
Because I just have all kinds of, my wife and I have never been able to do it. I've tried to incorporate her into our agency side, and that's been, that's not necessarily always worked well. When I had my education businesses, that never really worked real well with us working together. And it's got to be some personality as well. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a couple different things, but yeah, we would love to. It'd be fun. We actually, our very first podcast we did, we talked about that. I even had some questions that people kind of quasi submitted or have asked us over the years.
Yeah.
It is a different dynamic, and it's something that we've tried working apart, and that backfired big time. So it's kind of the opposite of most people, so
yeah, we are the opposite of most people.
Yeah. Sure. Well, it's a special thing, so I hope you I know you do. You see the value and the blessing in it. So
for sure. Well, buddy, thank you for being on today and spending your time. Look forward to seeing Randy's on Tuesdays. You'll see him all over Facebook. But yeah, join in Randy's. He's got some great people on every week. And it's rocking. So thank you, my friend. Appreciate it.
All right. Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.